stabilization of the political process and AI, we can start looking at some of the rudimentary levels in which petition signature gathering effectively is this huge, unstable seasonal. This is also a situation if we address on the table and say we need participation from citizens in voting. And citizens have a lot of problems. There are problems with people having time to be able to participate in processes of elections. There's income situations to be addressed. So we need a more permanent structure. There have been many people over the years that have been proposing a different type of political action to stabilize this situation. And we have an array of excuses or an array of reasons why things are held back, why certain changes occur, why there are disadvantages. So we need a massive change to stabilize this entire area so that we can continue to grow our nation and grow our individual areas throughout the nation. And one of the ways we can do this is addressing it with AI. AI systems can be both ethical and incorporating skill sets within the large language model, multi-language model systems to be able to incorporate deep understanding of what type of intent various parties have with different types of petitions. But into this at some place, we as the people need to make a decision and say we need to figure out a way for permanent funding so that citizens can participate on a more permanent basis. This could deal with things such as holidays. Well, let's not call them holidays. We're going to call them paid political days or paid document days, paid constitutional days, where basically you get paid to participate in political activity, in constitutional growth activity. The way I look at this is something that I think is going to include AI. We need to include AI in it. And we need to also figure out how to come up with a series of issues that become standard items of working. And I would like to say that some of the best ideas are growth ideas. We need to constantly address economics. Economics as a permanent addressing should be a staple as to part of this new proposal into being able to facilitate where all citizens get some kind of hands-on work and understanding and have access to mass AI assistive tooling. Because as the situation is, the people who've been using computers for the most part have been well-funded private entities, usually dealing with specialized concerns that are industry related and industry specific. They're very proprietary. Obviously, we can say that there's a logic. There's a logic to the reasoning. I mean, how much money can people put into a structure when they're a business? You know, you're a business, you have limitations. The bigger your business, well, maybe the more you can deal with it. But things of yesterday are not today. I have to step right up right away and say, look, things of yesterday are not today. We have brand new economics opportunity, and AI is what is going to help us lead the way in a new structured system. We now have new opportunities to group more types of businesses together. to come up with more types of practical concepts. At the same time, we can actually have the very same system accessible as a mass economic modeling system to every single citizen to be able to participate. In many ways, it's going to look like video gaming. It's going to look like, wow, somebody's playing this game or that game. You know, they're playing Tycoon, or they're playing Sim City, or they're playing one of these games where you're managing all of these digital assets. And this is going to be, or can be, it's going to be, but it can be something that we have more hands-on than to development. But we need to make the decision that it cannot be a caste system. It cannot be a system where people are discriminating. It has to be open for everyone. And we need to work on the mindset logic, literally, to say that AI has to have that ethical mind logic. And an excellent example of that is actually addressing the Constitution of the United States. When we deal with constitutional systems that are saying nothing can lessen, you cannot lessen, this is an interesting mindset to say that basically we have to work on items that are a win-win, items that are fair. And with mass AI participation, we can do that. Our forefathers have basically addressed this very early on, that's what makes a strong country. Building up real estate, building up hard assets is what builds a stronger country. So we have to understand, to be able to relive the backing of citizens at an individual level. And much of what I'm designing and engineering, I actually have been for more than 2 decades, is looking at individual situations at a micro level almost, and making the construct of these ideas like cogs that go in a puzzle, pieces of a puzzle. And now we finally have the computing power coming available to do this. So finally these pieces of puzzles that I've been designing can now be connected together. And we finally have a series of powerful computers that can work with them. So we're going to be able to have brand new opportunity with AI and brand new systems of interfacing. And in order to be fair about this, we need to make a decision. We need to say every citizen has to be paid money so that they can take not just a day off. I think at least, so we need to think more like 7 or 10 days out of a year to make it paid. How are we going to pay for it? I think we need to bite the bullet. I think we need to say, why don't we just print the money? Why don't we just print the money and say everybody gets paid? This is part of being an American citizen. This is part of being a shareholder. It's part of your residuals in a way, but there's a different backtoe to it, because why? You're still working. The idea is you're working. This is not supposed to be a gift. This is supposed to be paying for your normal life expenses so you don't starve to death, so there's no interruption in your financial stability, so that we can have people focusing on these magic political days. This is not, the idea here is, I'm not saying, yeah, let's use this just to have a good chili cock-off and we can get drunk. Now, maybe that might be fun for some people, but I'm saying no. This is about actually working to achieve things. There's other ways you could look at it. You could look at it as time in, time out. You could look at it like connection time to a computer. There's a log in, log out. You could have an aspect to that. How would Americans feel about, what if some Americans want to participate more than others? And they can participate in assisting building the AI system. and get paid? How would some people feel about that? Some people might say, well, I admit that some people are more intelligent than other people, at least in certain areas. I mean, they have more skill sets. They understand more about certain areas. So are we at one with an idea that we could invent an ethical criteria where it is legitimate to make sure that people get paid time in, time out? Okay, let's continue with this. Let's look at the economics partially of this. Now, we already have a situation where certain political activity is tax deductible. We have companies and corporations that have been utilizing tax deductions involving political development. Now, let's take a moment on the tactical table and say, is this fair? Is this fair? And what is the standard? How do we equate this? Can we go to the IRS and say, what is the total amount of money claimed in tax deductions across the board, period, that are related to political activity? Companies that are doing growth or research or whatever. Take that equation. Let's look at that equation and say, let's divide that towards the total number of, well, we could say registered voters, just to have a purity item right there, who are participants, and then come up with an average figure and see what this average figure equates to. Is it a small number? Is it a large number? In order to do this accurately, we have to have a statistic come from the IRS, because they're the ones that have the ability to equate this. And AI activity is going to be able to assist in dealing with this equatable set of mathematics. I'm curious to see what this is going to be. I haven't been able to figure out an actual accurate statistic, because maybe it's minuscule. Maybe it's so minuscule that it's like, wow, it comes out to an average of $42 a person per year. That's not very much of a financial item. If that were the case, I think we need to understand that we would have to figure out more ways to get things participating. Now, there's been other people that have suggested in the past. Unfortunately, the research in that particular area, I don't readily recall. I saved a bunch of material. I can't reference it. It's been stolen or destroyed because of the attacks on the archive. But these people were suggesting, as I recall, that there is an enormous figure of many, many thousands of dollars averaged out per citizen that equate out in that statistical area. So we would need to review what these numbers are or could be. Again, I didn't get the chance to do the finish on those, so I have to be perfectly honest on that. Because we need to understand what that number is, or what it could be, or what it, literally what would be proper. How do we equate an understanding on this area that could be literally, truly fair for every American? Can we say we can make something available for every American that would be fair? Because if